Where in Punta Cana can you rent an apartment for a few months? This is especially interesting for retirees who want to spend a few winter months each year in the Dominican Republic. And in reality, this is a big problem because it's very easy to rent an apartment for a few days, a week, or 10 days through Airbnb or Booking if you're looking for a short-term rental. But renting for several months through short-term rental websites turns out to be pretty expensive. And a full-fledged rental usually starts at a minimum of 1 year. Sometimes you can find something for 6 months, but that's rare. The difference in price will be huge. For example, a nice, large, modern 2-bedroom apartment in a new complex, not far from the beach, will cost $1,800 to $2,000 a month for long-term rent. The same apartment, if you rent it through a short-term rental website, where apartments are rented by the day, will be $180 to $200 per day, which is $6,000 a month. Of course, if you rent an apartment through a short-term rental website for 3 or 4 months, they'll give you a discount, but it will still be around $4,000 a month, which is twice as expensive as long-term rent. That's why people who come for 2, 3, or 4 months end up in a vicious circle. And today, I want to tell you about a complex where apartments are rented specifically for several months, and the price is only slightly higher than regular long-term rentals with a 1-year contract. Right now, we are in the very center of Bávaro. Let's start with the location. This complex is called Reserva Royale, and it's about a 10 to 12 minute walk to Bávaro Beach. There's a whole chain of beaches there. Everything is very comfortable, everything is great, but at the same time, it's right in the center of Bávaro. So basically everything, all the shops, all the restaurants, they're all within walking distance. And what sets this complex apart, by the way, it's completely new. Yeah, it was just finished a year ago. And it's managed by a hotel, but it was built, most of the projects being built now are in this modern style. So it's a modern building, modern design. But this project is completely built in the style of old Italian buildings. So it really stands out. In reality, it's an absolutely new project. And it's like an oasis, a quiet oasis right in the center of Bávaro, from where you can easily get anywhere. So you're basically in the very heart of the city. At the same time, it's fully managed like a hotel. So it's like a regular hotel, but what's different is that here you can rent for both short-term and long-term stays. It's probably especially convenient if you're coming here, say, for half a year. For retirees who come here to relax, it's a very quiet, very peaceful, and very beautiful complex in the city center. You don't need a car, and you can also buy resale property here. The apartments here are very spacious. So, for example, a 1-bedroom apartment is about 85 to 90 square meters. And an apartment like that here costs around $250,000. There are also huge 2-bedroom apartments here. Those are about 120 to 130 square meters. Their sale price is $350,000. There aren't many apartments here. I think right now there are only 3 or 4 apartments for sale here, but they do come up from time to time. This is such an interesting place, with a design that's not typical for what's being built in the Dominican Republic right now. And it's in an absolutely gorgeous location, close to the beach, close to shops, close to everything. I recommend it. The link to this project will be in our video. And if you're coming here, for example, on vacation, this is also a great option to rent for a longer period, because here you can rent not just for 2 or 3 days or a week, but for several months, which is really convenient. There are always apartments available for rent here. The link is in the description. And besides that, I have good news for those who are looking to rent in Punta Cana or Bávaro for several months. Of course, this isn't the only option for renting an apartment for several months. And since there's a high demand for this kind of rental, we constantly get calls from potential clients with similar requests, and we always try to offer our clients the most comprehensive service possible. We hired someone in our Dominican office who specializes in rentals. So if you need to rent an apartment for several months or even for a year, reach out to us and we'll help you find a rental at an affordable price in any area of Punta Cana, Bávaro, or Cap Cana. See you next time on the channel.